I have 4:30, so can I have a roll call, please? Here.
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 Thank you. So the first is we have an approval of the agenda. Need an approval of the agenda.
I make a
And
motion.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You want to do it all together?
Yeah, I was going to say, and I don't mind doing it all together, so.
Okay, I was not at the other council meeting for the minutes, but Juan, you were, right?
Yeah.
So I'll let you do the minutes and the agenda.
Okay, I move for approval of the agenda, the January 22nd, 2020 meeting minutes, and also approval of the agenda as presented, and also approval of the minutes of the January 2020 meeting.
That was a mouthful. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. It passes. And yes, there was a lot of twos in there. Okay, our first action item is to consider recommending for full council approval of the Roswell Public Library Strategic Plan for 2020, and let the record show that Ms. Moore is here. I know we all had a chance to read it. Do we have any questions? Not? Okay. Well, and we can wait, but really, unless you want. When I read through it, I didn't really have any questions. It looked good for me.
I read through it and I had no questions either.
I read through it, and the only thing that I worried about is the amount of money that it's requiring, and I don't know where that money is going to come from.
I agree with that. This budget's going to be scary.
But
But
okay, I wasn't sure whether, oh, here she is. I wasn't sure, we're all in the same position at this point when it comes to budget, and I believe it's each department to shave their budget for what's coming up, because we know what's happening, we know where we're going. She wrote this, I'm sure that this was written way before this whole COVID deal, so I'm sure that Enid will go back and slim it down a little more. Okay. So I believe Juan's question was,
No, I don't really have a question. It's just a comment that I read through it, and I really don't have a question. The only thing is there's a lot of money involved, and I'm wondering where that money is going to come from.
Yes, there is a lot of money.
you have to push your button. I'm sorry.
or
The
they won't be
little
able to
red
hear
one.
you in the next room.
Well, that's okay.
Okay, so I only talk when the light's on?
Yes, ma'am. Now we can hear you.
Oh, good. Okay, I had a PowerPoint presentation to give, and I'm assuming that that's not happening. I have a copy of it if someone would like to load it.
He's right, yeah. Yep, he's got to get it powered on.
You got to talk to your chair, not me.
We can, want to amend our agenda and move to, I'm okay with it if we, yeah.
If you want to turn to page 14 of the strategic plan, that's included in my presentation. Yeah, there's a lot of fun. I do better with seeing the pictures. Can you, am I being recorded now?
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
So every 3 years, the public libraries all over New Mexico have to present a strategic plan that is in place at the state library, and we are meeting this requirement with this strategic plan. Also with the city directory, or city manager directed us to have a strategic plan for the library. So that's my name. When you look at Simon Snick looked at organizations, and when he does, he says a lot of times we talk about what we do, we talk less about how we do things, and very little time do we spend on why we do things. And he suggests start with why. And that's what we did with our strategic plan. We used research and a procedure that was developed by the Hardwood Institute, who works with the American Library Association, and put together a way to do strategic plans for libraries. And in doing so, we had meetings held in the library, we interviewed key people in the community, and we asked them this question over and over again. What are your aspirations for Roswell? What are your challenges in facing and reaching these aspirations? And what needs to change in the community to reach our aspirations? And this is what we came up with. We want, this is based on their comments, and we want Roswell to be a community that is friendly, safe, and welcoming to everyone. We want Roswell to be a community that is vibrant and growing. We want to see people strolling, riding, and driving up and down our streets. We want Roswell to be a community where people are engaged in quality formal and informal community activities for youth, adults, and seniors. We want Roswell to be a community where people are thoughtful, critical thinkers with higher executive skills. We want Roswell to be a community where people are educated and know they have the opportunities and skills to succeed. We want Roswell to be a community that attracts and retains skilled laborers and professionals. And then we want Roswell to be a community that is appealing to new families and respects the needs of senior populations. So in looking at this way of doing the strategic plan, we were looking at what are the needs in the community and how the library can meet those needs. Not what does the library does and how can we kind of put those into what the community does. It's a different way of thinking of strategic plans. We also looked at the Public Library Association has what's called Libraries Transform, and they also do strategic planning. And so we put out a lot of their comments on it, and we asked people to say which 5 ones are most important to you. And of that, we came up with these 2 that were the most important. And the important role of the Roswell Public Library is to serve the formal and informal education and needs of the community. And an important role of the Roswell Public Library is to provide access to reliable information, resources, and the internet. And nationally, these two float up to the top for libraries. People come into the library for children's services, education, help with homework, help with job skills, asking for information. They also want to use the internet, and they want and need reliable information. So we have a new vision, and our vision is to educate connected communities of readers, learners, doers, and dreamers. And our mission is to transform lives by education, inspiring, and connecting people. We have keys to do that: education, excellence, freedom, diversity, and community. And we went and looking back into that, why are we doing what we do? And we came up with some service goals. So we have service goals, building improvements and management of the Roswell Public Library. And if you look on page 14, you're going to see the service goals. And so we have some service goals that, let me look at my notes again. Service goals, thank you. Service goals for building a community of learners. Service goals for engaging people in the community, for being points of learning, for encouraging reading for pleasure, creating a mobile library, supporting initiatives of the city of Roswell, and building improvements and management of the Roswell Public Library. Yes, there's a lot in there, especially if you start looking at building improvements, and that was a real long list of things. I don't expect that all those would be addressed in the next 3 years, but just it was more of a informational thing that we have these needs for our building. So that's my name again, and if you have any questions.
Barry.
So now I'll
Thank you.
put myself in the hot seat, and you can ask me lots of questions, or no questions.
So this Roswell Public Library strategic plan is for 3 years, and you expect all this to happen in 3 years?
No.
Okay. I yield.
So to my understanding, this is just maybe the strategic plan is a start. Is that what this is kind of read? And I know we had already worked on a couple of things like the mobile thing and all that stuff. The funding had already been, we had worked through that and all those things. But some of the other things like the repairs and those things, that is going to be a process, correct?
Right, and if you really look at it, all that is it's just saying we have a laundry list of building things, and that is not anything new. That is information that has been presented as far as in different reports for the facilities, in project improvements that needed to be, that were there. So it's more of a laundry list so that some person could just look at, these are our needs. But would I expect them all to be done in the next 3 years? I would love it if they were all done in the next 3 years, but I do not think it would be even possible to do that.
So you're not requesting funding for those things on that list at this time?
I can't ask for
It's just
funding for
information.
that because that is a capital improvement and that needs to go through a different process.
Well, one that stands out is the roof.
Yeah, the roof does leak.
And so she's saying she's just listing it as information that, not that she's asking that it be done today, or it's just a list
It's
that
a-
whenever, however we get to it, the city gets to it, they get to it. Is that the way you're looking at that list? or
That's how
am
I was looking
confused?
at it. It's more of an informational thing. This is what we have. If something happens and we suddenly get a wonderful request, I'm going to look at that list and say, this is what needs to be done.
When was this, when one or two mil?
He's number one, I'm number two.
Okay. Just a quick question. When was the roof put on there last? Because I remember that we did some work on it probably 2 years ago. Or am I thinking of the museum?
Mr. Chair, Councilor Best, as far as when that work was done in the roof, I know we've done some work, but I don't believe it's been in the roof, but I'll have to get back with you all on that to get the specifics on the dates on the work that has been done on that facility.
Okay.
On the roof.
In my world, an infrastructure brain, you have to have your plumbing, your infrastructure. Your roof is like the museum. It is a main thing because of all your books, your history books, your ones that have been donated from the publics, the antique ones there. The books are the main thing in the library. Of course, now it's CDs and audio and all that. But that is what it's about, and it needs to be protected. So to me, the roof should be way on top. Now, I know throughout the years that I've been here, a lot of this roof work has not, the warranties have not been filled out, guarantees have not been fulfilled on that. So that may be something that we need to look into for that particular building.
Yeah. And if I may add that, as some of the list of projects that are listed there, as you all may recall, we went through this whole exercise of listing a big master list of all of these different projects. And that's part of the purpose because some of those projects are listed in there. And then as we go through the budgeting process, then we kind of revisit what those projects are in need. And then that's when we go through the process of prioritizing and hopefully funding those critical projects that need to be addressed. So that will be coming back at some point.
Okay, so right now, we're just voting on the strategic list, what she has made for the council. It has no money involved, nothing going to budget, nothing being pulled out of budget, anything like that. It's just a plan.
That is the plan, and those projects that are identified in that plan also will be identified and included in the master list of projects.
Okay.
And then those will be reviewed by the council and prioritized like every other department. And then if if one of those projects is selected for funding for that project, then that is approved by the council.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Barry.
Well, it appears to me that
They can't hear you.
it appears to me that the roof is a major component of the library in order for it to function. I don't know how much of a leak there is in there. Have you had the conversation with Juan, Joe? And what is the expectation of when are we going to get to the roof? No, I'm asking Juan.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess in regards to the, Counselor, in regards to the question of has there been, I know facilities has been working on several of our buildings in regards to the roof. I'm not sure if I know the library there was some work being done on the side of the building because it was leaking from underneath, from the base of the building. But the roof, I'm not sure if they've touched it. So that would have to be something that we circle back with facilities and see is it in their queue, and where is it in their queue, or has it been identified? Has it even been assessed as to what the cost of that project will be, and where is that, or is it just still one of those projects that's on the list? So we'll have to go back and talk to facilities and do a little bit more research to have a better answer for you, Councilor.
And I guess what I'm saying is that, again, not knowing the extent of the leak and where it's at and those kind of things, whether it's big or small, I guess it really doesn't matter because it'll continue
It'll get bigger.
leaking. But nevertheless, I think this is one of those buildings that is so important to the community that I think we need to instead of taking a step back and waiting and see what happens and those kind of things, this is something that we need to really get on and hopefully get it done.
Okay.
It would be my opinion.
Thank you.
And I applaud this goal because basically what we're here to is approve a 3-year strategic plan, and we have to have goals. My favorite is if we don't have something to aim at, we
don't aim.
we
We don't hit
miss it
anything.
every time, or we hit it every time. We just decide later what we were shooting at. But this gives us a great target, and it also fulfills the requirement by the state to have the strategic plan. So, and I applaud it, because looking through it, it was really plainly written and nicely written, and so I thank you. Do we have any other questions on it?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I don't have a question. All I have is a request that if we can have this item on the agenda, especially the roof, every month, and see where we're at, and see if we can address it as quickly as we can.
I'm not sure it falls under us or falls under infrastructure. That would, I mean, being a maintenance, we can discuss it, but I really think it is more of a infrastructure type.
Well, it could be, but I think it's important for us to follow it as well. I mean,
And if I may, Counselor,
Yes.
we did, last year, we did go through an exercise of separating the master list and distributing it to the committees. So each committee kind of reviewed a section of so many departments of their requests, so we can certainly, that's part of the plan. It's just right now we're going through, at the same time, going through the budget process. But we can kind of verify it on that, on kind of making sure that this is kind of placed at the front burner to get that additional information. But I guess I'll defer to.
Yeah, and priority-wise too, when it comes back to ICIP priority, that I would see that this would fall under us, since the library is under us too. So, but I can see us carrying it, but we
and
also.
I guess, are you scheduled to give a presentation to infrastructure?
No.
So
I'm
apparently
sure I
this is
can
not
be,
on their,
but-
they're not on their agenda.
No, this is, because this is
I
actually.
understand this is the
Just the plan.
Master, yeah, master.
strategic plan,
Right.
but I want to make sure that we keep this one on the front burner, because that is very important to have the roof done. That's my only thing.
So whatever committee we need to get that
Council
information to, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
You're fine. I agree. Is this coming out of the library budget or infrastructure budget? The roofing? And I think we should put a pitch roof on it, but that's my personal opinion. I hate flat roofs.
So this, again, right now, even while we're going through the budgeting process, we are kind of then, doing a detailed review of all of the projects in the different funds, where they're at, and then we're starting to review even how we're using for example, the capital project fund. In that fund, we are going to be shifting some of those big projects that would fall under the general fund. For example, this could be one of those. So the library is under the umbrella of the general fund. Their library fund is specifically for other uses as well. But for a project this size, depending on the cost, it will probably have to be funded under the project improvement fund. And that's what, right now, we're going to be reviewing all of the existing projects. I know I will be giving a presentation to that committee on all of the existing projects, all of the open POs, and then all of those that will be, kind of where we're at, where we're going to be, what may be available at the end of the fiscal year, and then we're going to be revisiting all of these projects. Again, this will be one of those projects that is included in the master list.
It is in the
So
master list.
it will have to be part of that discussion, and I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because it is part of what we're going to be trying to address when we talk about how we address some of the capital needs in the city.
So Barry, for the next meeting, is it possible, I know it's not Trent anymore, what is the new man's name?
It is Abraham Chaparro.
Abraham. Is it possible for Abraham to come back to this committee with a small report on exactly where this roof is leaking, and give us a clue of whether we're having to move books out of the way, how serious it is when it's raining on sprinkles or down for, and that way
Yes.
we just have a clue on what we're trying to protect in the library, which is kind of in our world.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry to
Very
make that
possible.
happen.
We'll have it.
I guess what I was trying to draw out of you is to give us an idea of where the leak was, how big it is in the library.
We have dealt with some of the leaks that were in the library.
Leaks?
Leaks. So there's leaks. You saw my map, and there are multiple places where the leaks happen. And we tend to have 17 different leaks in the building. But no matter where that, depends on where the rain is, where those leaks kind of come
way the wind's blowing.
out. We have addressed successfully, I believe, some of the leaks that were coming in from underneath from the ground and into the building, and we're making the carpet moldy. And I believe we've taken care of some of those. They did some sealing of the limestone, and that has, it moved some of the leaks a little further into the building. So I don't know how that's going to be addressed. What happens is when it rains, we mark where it is. We try to bring the facilities people in there because they need to be seeing the leaks. I even had it on, I was videotaping some of the leaks so that they could see what happens. And sometimes some of the leaks are on one side of the wall and sometimes they're on the other side of the wall. And it just seems like they have a little mind of their own. But facilities has gone, and we've used some major donation money to deal with some of the leaks in the building. So it was the ceiling of the ground and some of the other areas, but we still have leaks.
I'm kind of surprised, and maybe you can agree with me.
Really?
Because I don't remember this issue being brought
No.
up to the infrastructure
No.
committee.
And I don't remember it either, and I wanted to make the comment, over in my block, which is one block south and a little east, I have groundwater that seeps up
Okay.
through the limestone on the building. So you may be having that problem. It may not be coming from the roof, may be coming from the groundwater seeping up, because it's pretty
No.
shallow there.
No, it's coming from.
It's coming down. So you're right, I don't remember this. I remember the museum and all the other flat top roofs that we have, which are horrible. I don't remember the library, do you? Either of you?
I don't remember it either.
I only
But-
know because I was on the library board, so I'm the reason
Okay.
I know of it, but I don't.
So this should have been pushed forward to infrastructure probably a year ago. Because it would be the parapet that's not sealed correctly for it seeping down either wall if you've had the parapet worked on, my opinion. I'm not a builder or contractor, but have dealt with it, so.
But it's something I can work with Counselor Roebuck and get it on infrastructure, but also get it to a point where we, talk with Abraham and figure out where things are. But
Yeah.
we should have a report. Let's have a report on it next week.
Because what's inside is very important,
Yeah, well,
my opinion.
well, and
It's like the artwork. It's
if
important.
the roof's bad, then pretty soon the whole building will be bad.
Exactly.
That's why we lost the Yucca Center. So,
We'll put it on
All
the
right.
agenda.
but, any more discussion on the roof?
Yeah, nope.
It has nothing to do with the strategic plan.
Since we got
Any other
sidetracked.
questions on the strategic plan?
You need a motion.
Then I'm ready for a motion. If no,
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to consider recommending it to full council. Can it not go to consent? It has to go to full?
this can go to consent, I
Can
believe.
go to consent,
It's- Yeah.
Think.
Yes.
I'm.
Jump
I-
right
I-
in there.
I would hope, yeah, I would
Okay.
recommend it be placed on consent.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion to consider recommendation to consent agenda for the Roswell Public Library Strategic Plan for 2020 to 2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. It passes. Thank you
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
All right, the next is a non-action item for the Boys and Girls Club interim activities. So we have Tim Coughlin in the next room, and we also have Marcus Gallegos. Mr. Fuentes is happy that he doesn't have a mic in front of him. Right.
Good afternoon, councilors. Hear me?
Yes. I got my, whoa.
It's on? Okay, awesome.
Yours is special.
I don't have to push a button, I guess. So I have some information. The Boys and Girls Club of Chavez County, located on Garden Avenue, is going to be temporarily displaced from their building starting on July 1st, I believe. They're going to have some construction going on to renovate the building, and so they have to move somewhere to keep their program going. It was brought to my attention, and it was floated as a possibility of having them housed at the new Rec and Aquatic Center. We talked about it and talked with Tim through an email, and we set up a meeting to have him and his team come down to tour the facility, see what it looks like, and just talk about it, see if it's something that could progress. We did. We had a nice meeting. We had his whole team go through. We talked through a lot of different things, and we felt it's something that we could work through if everybody agrees and all the logistics work out on it. Tim, I don't know if you have anything to jump in on that? or-
No, it's the vacancy of the building. As you guys probably are aware, we're still waiting on that community development block grant project to get started. Last I heard, there was a possibility of June 1, but
Oh, okay.
we don't know yet when that actual date will take place. Our plan was to vacate June 1 and be out of the building the entire rest of the year. By us being out of the building, it would allow the contractor to have unfettered access and be able to get in, get the job done quicker, and then safety of everybody. So then our plan was just to vacate. One of the ideas that came up was the aquatic center. We went over and we met with Marcus, started talking about the logistics of it and some of the different activities that could take place, and it just seemed like a really good fit to go over there and to be able to work together with them as that location.
So on the city side, the way we looked at it as our department is, we run a summer program as well as they do. So we couldn't have competing programs at the same time, and we knew that going into this. So we thought, well, maybe they can just expand their program, they can handle the extra kids. They would be able to hire new staff because of the extra income, those type of things, and they would have the entire program at the center, and we would not do ours there. It actually works out good on the city side because we would be able to save some money. Our program, from what I calculated last year, actually cost us to have the program, whereas if we bring them in, and if the city agrees to allow them to pay us the rent that they were paying for the Boys and Girls Club over there, we'd actually make some money and save a substantial amount, mostly on labor costs. We hire several temps throughout the summer to watch these kids and help with the kids, and that would save the city, and especially during this time, we could use the savings coming up. So it'd be pretty advantageous for us. Yeah.
Hey,
That was
Councilmember.
my question. How is it
Okay.
going to work with?
Yeah,
with
no,
all the
we
programs
knew
that
going
have
in we
this
could not
summer?
run two programs, and so it's either them or us, and they have actually a better program than what I felt we were running at the time. We were planning on changing our program this summer anyways, and we piloted it during the winter, and we had a great program set up for the spring break camp, and unfortunately we had to cancel it because of all our wonderful stuff going on. But we felt they could really handle it. That was their specialty, and it allows us to focus on some other things during the summer.
All right, Councilor Opesa.
Just one question. When you go and run your programs at the recreation center or aquatic center, the kids that are not members of Boys and Girls Club right now, are they going to be required to join in order to participate in your programs?
So that is something that hasn't been completely decided upon yet. The membership fee is $20 per year to be a part of the Boys and Girls Club, and then it's the activity fee during the summer, which we haven't determined. We were looking at $60 a week, which I think was in line with what you guys were doing last year. So that's something that we may just say that those kids that are coming may not have to pay that $20, or whether we incorporate that into the fee. We haven't gotten to that point. As we started to discuss all this, then We're now in this situation where we're all sitting far apart. There's been other priorities that have taken place as far as that goes. So that actual, those little details of that, we haven't finalized yet.
Okay, I can envision, on the city side, families already buying membership, family membership and so forth. And now the Boys and Girls Club come in, and I'm not sure how that's gonna work as far as letting the ones that have already bought city membership.
So having
If they have to pay-
having membership with us does not give you access or additional access or discounted access for the summer program. That was a straight fee regardless if they're members of the aquatic center or not.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be anything where we're charging them extra or anything like that, you know?
Okay.
Okay, so
Councilor
my
Best.
question is, it says right here, it was also to suggest that the current rent by the Boys and Girls Club pays for their current location being used rent for use of the aquatic center. Have you come into agreement on that one yet?
We have, I believe, and it's going to be up to the, possibly this committee or the council to agree on that. Our standpoint was, since we can't use that building, why pay the rent for that building? We're more than willing to continue paying the rent since we're using the facility at the aquatic center. It's the same amount, and we would just, it would be an internal thing. We still write the check to the city of Roswell, but internally, that money gets credited to the aquatic center for use of their facility. There's going to be some extra cost related to maintaining the building, cleaning restrooms, things like that because of a higher capacity. So as far as we're concerned, it's not going to affect us at all. That would be an internal thing within the city.
And I think that'd be appropriate. That's almost like a weekly, monthly, yearly membership for those kids.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
All right, and one of the reasons why I wanted this on our, as a discussion is because trying to get, we all don't know what the future is, we don't know when everything's gonna be reopening, but trying to get some kind of a MOU created between now and maybe our next May meeting, so that then the Boys and Girls Club can start planning, and then we can, because we still don't know, we're still saying July 1st possible, but we're still all up in the air of when anything's going, but that way there can get some actually plans and some concrete plans. When I first heard this, to me, it was a win-win situation.
It is.
Because, and so it was a no-brainer, but one of those things is the discussion, we probably need to have it at a committee for this, but then also, I've talked to Joe and I've talked to the mayor, and they see also this is something that if we needed to, we could take it to a full council, since if we have some discussions prior. But yes, Councilor Bass.
So what Juan was alluding to, in my mind, just quickly off the top of my mind, you have your members and you have your activity. And then we're not going to do that activity anymore, but you charged for it back then, so you know how much it is. So can you, in your group, keep your kid not separate here, but separate on your books?
So, no, they would all become, it would be one program. So that whether we charge that annual fee or not, our safety protocols is every single child fills out a membership application. That gives us emergency contact information and a variety of other things. It goes into our system, so they then become in our system as listed as a member. It allows us that when they come in for the day, we register them into the system. When it's time for them to leave at the end of the day, an adult has to come in with a physical ID, show it to us, and we match to make sure that that person's allowed to pick up the kid, and they get checked out. So the protocol, our protocols don't change at all. It wouldn't then become our kids and your kids, they would become kids of the program.
Could they be like associate members? Like money-wise?
We could call them whatever we want, but the reality is it's all put in the system under the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the real benefit is they can actually grow their program. We talked about this. It's an opportunity for them to bring more kids into their program and really, expand out, especially towards the north, that they haven't been able to do so far. So
You
that
might
can,
be careful, this may be an ongoing thing, and they may not ever want to go back to their building.
Oh, no. No. After what I believe is going to happen at that building, we definitely want to go there.
Okay.
But at the same time, part of it has been since 2017, when the old Boys and Girls Club went away, we've always been talking about expanding to better serve the community of Roswell. I mean, you've got 50,000 people and one club location located down at that end of town. What about the people at this end? What about the people at that end? So that's been a long-term plan of ours, is to expand. So this may be an opportunity to be able to expand. We'll have some additional logistics stuff, especially when school starts back up in August, because our plan would be to stay at the aquatic center. We would then have to get our vans and go further to pick up kids from Nancy Lopez and some of the other schools that are close by the club now to take them to the aquatic center. Those logistics would be something that would still have to be worked out.
Okay, thank you.
How long are you thinking it's gonna take to fix do your
Don't know till we
remodeling?
get started.
I'm sorry?
How long are you thinking it's gonna take for the remodeling part of the Boys and Girls Club? A year?
6 months.
It depends upon when it gets started. It was supposed to start last year, and then, hey, I'm involved in government too. I know that things take forever. But the idea was 6 months. So we said, I know there's always delays. Let's figure 7. So that's why we went from June 1 through the end of December. It will really depend upon when that project goes out to bid and gets started. If given current conditions, things can continue and we can be on board for a June 1 start date, then we would anticipate being out of that building through the remainder of the year.
How do y'all plan to advertise this for everybody to have access to it? Are we on the city side, or is it gonna be on the?
we can do it
Boys
through
and
both
Girls
sides.
side?
They can do whatever advertising they've been doing, and then we can do it at our side as well. I'll get with,
Some double side, okay. That's fine.
and
Just
help,
to reach
help,
as many kids as
help grow that program and steer those kids to sign up with them for the summer program.
So we're sitting back waiting for guidance. Part of it would be guidance from the city of Roswell, and part of it is guidance from the governor. I listened to the governor's speech on the way here. If we continue to a point where there's going to be social distancing, if we continue at the point where there's going to be limited group sizes, that's going to affect our capacity. Right now, we're talking with the numbers they had last year and the numbers we had, we're talking 120 to 125 kids. We may not be able to do that. So everything's kind of waiting for guidance. The next thing we're supposed to hear from the governor is May 15th, or somewhere around then. And then that will give us some idea. Again, my understanding is the city has said pretty much the aquatic center will not open before July 1. And then maybe the city's got some type of requirements and capacity rather than fitting 400 people in that pool. We will work within that capacity. As soon as we know, the soonest we know that we have a date that we can actually open, that's when we'll start advertising, that's when we'll start taking registration, and that's when we'll start hiring additional staff, because we need to get the staff in there for capacity. If we don't have the staff, we can't do it. So there's just a whole lot that's, unfortunately, we were hoping by the end of this month, next week, to be able to start hiring people and give us a 1-month period basically to train them in the ways that we operate our system and the safety protocols and things like that. We're not going to have that. My hope is to at least have a 2-week period where we can do that. It may mean that when you guys say, or the city says that here's the date you can open, if we don't have enough time, we may have to delay that. Or do a phased-in opening where we start off limiting to 30 members at a time, and then we keep increasing it. So there's so much we don't know nowadays, and I constantly am telling people, we don't know what we don't know, but once we know what we know, then we work within those realms of going there. Another thing that we are required to do with Boys and Girls Clubs of America, they require a physical safety inspection anytime we're going to be moving to a different location. So that's something we have to coordinate with them, and how that's going to work, I don't know, given travel restrictions nowadays. But they have to actually have boots on the ground walking through the facility, which is a fabulous facility, and and I don't really see, the only issue that I see is the potential for the restroom, where we don't have separated youth restrooms from adult restrooms, but that's something we can work through. That's the only small issue I see, but that's another requirement that we have to do. So there's a lot of logistics that go into this to getting it set up, and it's all for the safety and security of the kids, for the safety and security of the facility, and then trying to serve as many possible. If we could do 150, oh my God, it would be great, but it would also be interesting to see how we do it. So we'll see, and as those numbers grow, this may be something that, if it works out great this year, it may be something that we continue every summer, helping out the city and the aquatic center by just continuing to run a program like that, free up his staff to run the pool and to run the facility that's needed, not have to bring in all these temps, because when you bring in all those temps, you don't have how do I say it nicely? You don't have the level of
Continuity.
experience of working with kids. I mean, I'm seeing it in Ruidoso right now. They've got the lifeguards that the village of Ruidoso hired are running a daycare program for the children of the hospital. Ooh, totally different. I have to remind myself, not my circus, not my monkeys. But there's a difference in the way it happens. Not saying it's a good or bad thing, but it's the way it is. When you start bringing in temporary people, you don't have that level of experience that's there.
Well, and there's so many other things, like you said, we don't know what we don't know, but we also know that they're talking still about having the K-5 plus, and, the principals that I've been talking to are saying, well, we're probably going to have a record number of kids, record number of teachers that want to do it since they've been away from school for so long. So we don't know what the demand will be, but that's one of the reasons I wanted this spoken and got it out, so that we know that this is a possibility, and I think it's a great opportunity for the city and the Boys and Girls Club to partner together. Yes, Councilor.
I have a question for Juan. Why has it taken so long? And who is the contractor? And I guess the last question is this project in danger of getting cut by the governor?
Counselor, the first part of your question, that this project is a CDBG project, which really has a lot of restrictions and kind of has to go through a certain process. I know engineering and facilities both have a piece of the project, so they're both coordinating with the architect, and the plans have to be also submitted for review, and they're putting all the construction documents together. So it has been taking a little bit longer than it should have, but it's already moving forward. We are in communication with the state and the grants, the project manager at the state level, who's helping us to make sure that this project does move forward. So we don't see that the funding is in jeopardy, because it is federal funding, it's CDBG money. So she is helping us to make sure that we move it forward. As a matter of fact, we do have a conference call this week. We had one, so we're having regular calls, so make sure that this project continues to move forward. A lot of it, again, is just because of the type of nature of this grant. It does require a lot of red tape and paperwork, but it is moving forward. And again, it's just a matter of a couple of more weeks, and there should be a lot more progress on the project.
It would be a shame if this project got cut.
Well, and again, I want to emphasize, because this comes directly from DFA and the project manager, is that she is committed and she's helping us, and she assured we're not going to lose this money. It's just a matter of they want to see progress on the project. So I think we are kind of making sure we expedite.
And the last big stumbling block was that we used CES to go out for the engineering, and the federal government didn't like the fact that we had used the CES program instead of going out for bid for just the engineering process. Isn't that correct?
And that is correct. That was one of the hang-ups, is just their interpretation of how we should have procured the professional services. They wanted to see a process that they recommended we should have followed. We went through a CES, and that kind of tied up things because it was a matter of interpretation. But again, luckily we had the bureau chief at the state level of DFA to say, you know what, this project is important to this community. let's go ahead and make note of that, but let's move forward on this project. So yes, we've already crossed that hurdle. Now it's just a matter of going through the rest of the process.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any questions? Any more statements? All right, well,
we'll
this
continue
isn't an
working on it.
action item, I just wanted it out there and wanted more of us aware of it.
Thank you so
And-
much.
And then also the other thing, I didn't say at the start of this, to be open, and most of y'all know this, I do sit on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, so, but I have been advised that it's not a conflict of interest, so, thank you. All right, we don't have any other reports, right? We just had them, all right. Yeah, what's in the packet, all right. Any other questions? Does this time work for everybody? It's one of those things that, you know, we're trying to get it. It works for me too, so, is- yeah. No, that's, no, the next meeting, May 27th. Yeah, so let's look and. You were, okay. Yeah, because, oh yeah, all right, May 27th is Wednesday, so, all right, we don't have any public participation, all right, well, no. But one of the things with it this way, I didn't want us to sit through all the committee reports. Yeah. All right. All right. Yeah, they can see us. All right, well, then let's, do I need a motion to adjourn or just adjourn? I don't think, yeah, we're done. We adjourn, next meeting, May 27th at 4:30. 5:23? All right. Thank y'all.